I'm Sarah Farmer. You're watching South Today. Good evening. Residents in a block of retirement flats in Southampton say they feel like prisoners in their own homes because of a broken lift. Some of those on the first floor have been unable to join family for Christmas and other celebrations because they can't use the stairs. The building's owner says it already has plans to replace the lift. Lindsay Kinghorn reports. Members of Bournemouth's Jewish community have held a silent vigil in support of the Israeli hostages being held in Gaza. They gathered at Pira. Medical research led by doctors in Southampton has found an effective treatment for a common virus affecting babies' breathing. The virus, a woman from Hampshire who features in a new charity campaign, says it's helped give her cancer a purpose. Hannah Gretton from Milton-on-Sea was diagnosed with breast cancer at the beginning of the year. She was later asked to help with a drive to raise awareness of new research breakthroughs. Catherine Da Costa reports. Hannah Gretton on surviving cancer, making a huge difference. Now, high winds have been affecting travel to and from the Isle of Wight today. Red Jet crossings have only... Let's find out if those wind gusts are here with us for the next few days. David Brain takes a look at the forecast. It's a blustery Twixmas ahead of us. That's it from the team here for the time being. We'll be back with your late news, though. That's coming up at 10:20 this evening. Do join us then if you can. In the meantime, have a very good evening. Bye for now.